at last.
Indeed. As promised, part 2 of the Mini and FN2, well, I had to remind myself, FN2 comparisons. Calum will be driving my car. I am not nervous about him crunching any gears or stalling it in any way, shape or form.
It's never happened.
No. Yeah. So this is the first time he'll be driving it as well, since the springs have now been changed.
Yes. So I'm hoping for no body roll.
No
Picasso vibes. We'll see.
To be fair, the Picasso thing will never really leave because of the interior, but
you're right, you do sit lower.
Yep. You notice it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing about this car that I've always struggled to adjust to when I've driven it is, I don't know if it's the same for other FN2 owners, but as soon as you take your foot off the clutch, it's moving.
It's instantaneous.
Say off the clutch, you lift it by about 1 millimetre.
Yeah.
And that biting point is immediate.
Yep.
And even then, it's just taking some getting used to. Like, I'm so used to a high clutch now on my other cars that I've had. But there you go. It just wants to go already. Yeah. It's not even warm yet.
I think you just put in third.
Oh, well, it's happened already. You know what it is? That's because I'm used to having hill start assist.
Yeah.
It's great when you've got it, but when you go to a car that hasn't got it, you lose all driving ability because you just start relying on it.
Yeah. So far, how are you finding it compared to the Mini? I know we haven't got into any corners or any open roads yet, but even like just around town.
I think people say this car doesn't have any torque, but I don't know where they're getting that from, because I'm not having to work it hard like I did the GT86 or MGZR or anything like that.
Yeah.
I can just squeeze a little bit of throttle and it's fine. And that's the thing I like about the Mini.
Yeah.
Is that it has that turbo that it doesn't require hard work to get it to go anywhere.
Yeah.
But this is the same.
Yeah.
I guess like maybe when we get to higher speeds, like we've said in other videos, you'll have to drop down a couple of gears for it to really start moving.
Yeah.
Just around town and stuff, it's delightful. And the brakes do work.
Yeah, it will be upgraded, but they work. I'll put it this way though. I'll say this: before I put the pads, the discs are not really that important. If I'm being honest, they just look nice. Yeah, with the standard brakes and discs, the stopping is very underwhelming.
I think one thing I'm noticing is that the steering ratio is bigger.
Yeah.
So, for example, for people that, in layman's terms, I guess, like on the Mini, it's got a much shorter steering rack. So when you want to change direction, it's a little bit quicker. Which is
what makes it darty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But equally, that can be its detriment as well, because if you're trying to go down like a really bumpy road and it's twisty, it does bounce around a bit, and before you know it, you're having to make really, really finite like steering corrections.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, if anything, a bit bigger is a bit more helpful. That's so much better around corners now. My word.
It's just confidence, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really just confidence.
And it has improved the front end.
Yes.
It really has.
I will say at higher speeds as well, it's definitely improved it. Definitely.
It doesn't feel like it's, almost 15 years in design.
No.
The dash is what you see in a modern car, if anything.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say about the dash, and I said this to you the other day, was I wish that on the fuel gauge they had, if they broke it down by quarters.
Yeah.
So you've only got a brake and a halfway.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I always feel like in a car like this, if you are keeping an eye on fuel every now and then, you want to know exactly how much you got, but you at least got a range.
I will admit that is quite annoying.
One thing I find really interesting about this car is the engine braking is quite severe.
It's strong.
I just put it into third there, dabbed the brakes, and it almost came to a standstill.
Yeah.
And that's, in a Mini, it kind of holds a lot more speed.
Yeah.
If you take your foot off the throttle, or downshift, it still stays pretty quick. But this, it's always quite violent. So it's quite cool because you get to a roundabout, you don't have to do a lot.
It does it. I'll put it to you this way. I find it very raw in that sense.
Yeah.
And it makes me love it even more. It really does.
What I can't believe about these springs, though, and I don't want to just talk about the springs because there is other things to this car, but it's just so forgiving over bumps. So many times, like, people put on aftermarket suspension parts and it just ruins the handling. Maybe makes it a little bit better around the corner, but day-to-day living, it just kills it.
Yeah.
But this is just, it's lovely.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel any stiffer than it was before.
No.
Oh, goodness sake, horses.
So, you've taken it around some corners.
Yeah.
Now, compared to the Mini, how do you find it?
It's hard to say, actually. I know we touched on it, goodness knows how many times. It does need new front tyres.
Yeah.
So when I came off the roundabout near Sainsbury's,
It runs a little bit wider.
it did understeer quite a bit, yeah. But it does feel significantly better. I do love the exhaust tone.
Yeah. To think, just taking the silencer out, does all of that. It's great.
But the nice thing is you can drive it quietly.
Yeah.
If you don't want to use a lot of revs,
Just short shift.
then you can short shift. And it's actually quite sophisticated, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot more civil.
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 That's what we like. I mean, this road is horrible with my Mini. And this is fine. It's absolutely fine. And that's kind of, I know I complain about the setup of the Mini a lot in terms of, yes, it's great round corners, but it's horrible over these kind of roads.
Yeah.
This has got great round corners and good over these kind of roads.
Yeah.
That's a balance I would probably prefer, but I guess most of the time when you get coilovers, you kind of know what's going to happen. But if I had to compare it to the Mini round corners, I think it being a slightly longer wheelbase, but maybe it's slightly less grippy, but it's not much. I couldn't tell you, like, honestly, I couldn't put my hand on my heart and say yes, the Mini's better.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel like that anymore. I feel like the Mini is slightly more refined in how it delivers power.
Oh yeah, this is much rawer than the Mini in delivering power.
But I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way.
I don't
against
find
this
that
car
bad
because
at all, no.
I like that bit of fun.
Yeah.
I like that you're kind of jumping around in your seat as you put your foot down.
Yeah.
That's why you buy this sort of car.
Yeah.
In a Mini, like, you get more of the fun as you're kind of throwing it around country roads than you do under acceleration. Only when you hit the overboost do you get that kind of, oh wow, gearbox is lovely.
It is.
Nice short throw.
Yeah.
I actually thought that I wouldn't like the gear stick being here, and it's not as high as the EP3 obviously.
No.
But equally, like, it's just within reach. You can actually throw it about a bit.
Rev it out.
Oh, short shifted like the Mini. Trying desperately hard not to crunch anything. It is one of those cars that gives you a nice sense of speed as well. Now, I love my Mini seats. I really do, but these make you feel like you're in a racing car.
Yeah.
They hold you so much, and if I'm going to sound really old,
Yeah.
I find getting out of them really difficult. Like doing it with any dignity. You're alright because you drive this thing every day. Eventually, like, your body learns to get out in a dignified way where people aren't looking at you in a funny way when you get out of a car park.
It's true.
But I find, like, it's the bottom bolster is so high.
The bottom bolsters are high. What you find though, and I think for me, as a passenger, I notice it more when someone's driving around corners quickly. These help.
Yeah.
They do help. And I'll say as well, I think these hug you more than the Mini does, obviously because it has bigger bolsters. But the cushion is not too bad. The cushion is actually, I say not too bad, it's actually really nice and comfy.
I could spend a lot of time in this seat
Yeah.
and, you know, not be having back pain or anything like that.
Yeah.
Cool. So there we go. Thank you
you.
very much.
It's all good.
I think kind of comparing, like, it to the Mini, just to kind of summarise what I think, it handles I think just as good.
Yeah.
There's no comparison. The back end is, you feel it more.
Yeah.
But that's just because it's longer.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing.
No.
So very impressed with that. The
Yeah.
gearbox is lovely.
Yeah.
Nice short throw. The steering ratio, as I said, is slightly bigger.
Yeah.
So you do have to get used to that.
Yeah.
So you just have to put a bit more steering angle into corners, but that's kind of fun as well.
That's so true. I'll notice that. That's why I think the Mini is more darty.
Yeah.
Because you literally small, very, 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 very small movements, and you're changing direction. But that's not to say this is delayed. It's just very different in that respect, for sure.
I think sitting inside it, it does feel significantly bigger.
Yeah.
Like you're much more aware that, although it's only a hatchback still, but it's quite a big car.
You notice the space, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But I think that's just me getting used to small cars, and not anything will feel big compared to a Mini, I guess.
No, of course.
But it's great. It is great, and I would definitely say that these cars don't deserve the reputation that they get. I think it's unfair. More than anything, it's fun.
Yeah.
There's so little cars. You know, we were saying the other day off camera that there's so little cars you can drive these days that are for fun, are built for fun. That you can get in and you look forward to driving it.
Yeah.
And I look forward to driving this.
Yeah.
Every time. I think we'll leave it there.
Yep.
Cool. Hopefully I've remembered everything.
Yeah, I think we have. We touched on everything together, so
cool.
that's it.
Right. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.